Nelson Mandela, The Journey to Freedom and Equality. Our journey begins in the small village of Mvezo, nestled in the lush landscapes of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. It's the year 1918, a time of both change and tradition. Here, amidst gently undulating valleys and the rhythmic sounds of village life, a boy named Rolihlahla Mandela is born into the Thembu royal family. Little does the world know this child, whose name means pulling the branch of a tree, is destined to grow into a towering figure who will reshape the course of history. Growing up, young Mandela was immersed in the rich culture and traditions of his people. His days were spent herding cattle, playing with friends, and listening intently to the elders as they recounted the tales of their ancestors. Around the warmth of evening fires, he heard stories of bravery, leadership, and the sacrifices made to protect their heritage. These narratives, rich with lessons, began to shape his understanding of justice and resilience. His childhood in Kunu, surrounded by the expansive plains and deeply rooted community bonds, laid the foundation for the values that would guide him in his extraordinary journey. Mandela's thirst for knowledge took him far from home, pushing the boundaries of what was expected in a segregated society. He began his education at local mission schools, where he excelled despite limited resources. His journey then led him to the prestigious University of Fort Hare, one of the very few institutions open to Black South Africans at the time. Here he studied law and immersed himself in debates about justice, equality, and leadership. Fort Hare became the crucible where Mandela's vision for a fair and just society began to take shape, laying the foundation for his emergence as a transformational leader. In Johannesburg, Mandela was thrust into a world where the brutal realities of apartheid were impossible to ignore. The streets bustled with life, but beneath the surface lay a deeply divided society. Black South Africans were relegated to the margins, denied basic rights, forced into overcrowded townships, and subjected to daily indignities. Mandela witnessed the pain and frustration etched into the faces of workers, the heavy-handed police crackdowns on peaceful protests, and the systemic barriers that stifled opportunity. These experiences solidified his resolve. He knew something had to change, and that change would require extraordinary courage and determination. Determined to fight for justice, Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC, at a pivotal moment in South Africa's history. The ANC was more than just a political organization. It was a lifeline for millions yearning for freedom. Mandela quickly became a prominent figure, known for his eloquence, unwavering resolve, and ability to unite people from diverse backgrounds. He attended clandestine meetings, organized protests, and tirelessly worked to mobilize communities. Through speeches that resonated deeply with the oppressed, Mandela emerged as a powerful voice against tyranny, embodying the hopes and aspirations of a nation yearning for change. In the 1950s, Mandela organized mass protests against apartheid laws that sought to further entrench the oppression of Black South Africans. The Defiance Campaign was a bold and unprecedented movement that called on ordinary citizens to peacefully disobey unjust laws. Thousands of men and women joined hands, refusing to carry passbooks, defying curfews, and occupying spaces designated for whites only. The campaign brought hope to millions, igniting a spirit of resistance that had long been suppressed. However, this newfound momentum also made Mandela a prominent target of the government, who sought to quash the uprising with arrests and intimidation. Despite the risks, Mandela remained steadfast, aware that the struggle for freedom required unwavering resolve. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison, a turning point that would test the limits of his resilience and spirit. He spent 27 years in captivity, much of it on the harsh, windswept Robben Island, where prisoners were subjected to grueling labor and inhumane conditions. From breaking rocks in the blistering sun to enduring the isolation of a small, cold cell, Mandela faced unimaginable hardships. Yet his determination never wavered. Behind the prison walls, he transformed his suffering into strength, using his time to reflect, strategize, and inspire his fellow inmates. Robben Island became a silent battleground for justice, with Mandela leading from within, proving that even in chains, the human spirit can remain unbroken. On Robben Island, Mandela's spirit remained unbroken, even as he faced the relentless monotony of prison life. The island, surrounded by the cold Atlantic Ocean, seemed desolate and unforgiving, with its rocky shores battered by unyielding waves. Yet within this harsh environment, Mandela found purpose. He turned his small, dimly lit cell into a beacon of hope and knowledge. Using smuggled books and scraps of paper, he educated himself on law, politics, and history. But he didn't stop there. Mandela shared his learnings with his fellow inmates, fostering a sense of unity and purpose. His cell became a place of quiet resistance, where dreams of a free South Africa flourished despite the grim confines of the prison walls. Even the guards, initially indifferent or hostile, began to respect the quiet dignity of the man who refused to be broken. The world took notice, and the call for Mandela's freedom resonated far beyond South Africa's borders. Free Mandela became a global rallying cry, echoing through the streets of London, New York, Lagos, and countless other cities. People of all ages and backgrounds joined hands, marching in solidarity and chanting for justice. Concerts were organized, petitions signed, and governments pressured to impose sanctions on the apartheid regime. Activists painted murals, celebrities used their platforms to amplify the cause, and the message of hope spread like wildfire. The fight against apartheid became a unifying force, transcending borders and uniting humanity in the shared belief that equality and freedom were worth fighting for. After 27 long years, Mandela finally walked free, a moment etched in history as a triumph of the human spirit over oppression. As he emerged from the gates of Victor Verster prison on February 11, 1990, hand in hand with his wife Winnie, the world stood still. The scene was electric. A jubilant crowd waving South African flags and banners of support cheered wildly. Camera flashes lit up the moment, capturing his first steps of freedom under a bright, open sky. Mandela's steady stride, dignified yet humble, symbolized not just personal liberation, but a new dawn for South Africa. It was a moment of profound hope, signaling the end of an era of darkness and the beginning of a journey toward unity, justice, and reconciliation for a fractured nation. Mandela's release from prison marked the beginning of a pivotal chapter in South Africa's history. His freedom was not the end of his struggle, but the start of a tireless effort to dismantle apartheid from within the halls of power. Mandela engaged in delicate and often grueling negotiations with leaders of the apartheid government, seeking to bridge the chasm of distrust and hostility that had divided the nation for decades. These meetings were fraught with tension, but Mandela's unwavering commitment to dialogue and reconciliation became a beacon of hope. He balanced firmness with diplomacy, never losing sight of his vision for a democratic South Africa where every individual, regardless of race, could live with dignity and equality. His work laid the foundation for a peaceful transition, proving that even the most entrenched injustices could be overcome through perseverance and the power of unity. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, a moment that represented the culmination of decades of struggle and sacrifice. With millions of South Africans casting their votes, hope and determination filled the air. Mandela became the nation's first black president, a powerful symbol of triumph over oppression. His inauguration was not just the beginning of a new chapter for the country, but a global testament to the power of perseverance, forgiveness, and unity. Mandela's leadership ushered in an era of reconciliation and equality, laying the groundwork for a brighter, more inclusive future. Mandela's presidency focused on healing a deeply divided nation, scarred by decades of systemic injustice and conflict. He worked tirelessly to bridge the chasm between South Africans of all races, fostering a spirit of forgiveness and reconciliation. Through his leadership, initiatives such as the Truth and Reconciliation Commission helped the nation confront its painful past while paving the way for a more united future. Mandela's unwavering belief in the power of unity and compassion turned him into a global symbol of peace and hope, inspiring countless individuals to strive for a better world. Nelson Mandela's journey is a testament to the extraordinary power of courage, resilience, and unity. From the rural beginnings of his life in Mvezo to the global stage as a beacon of justice, Mandela's legacy transcends time. He not only led South Africa to freedom, but also taught the world invaluable lessons about forgiveness, perseverance, and the enduring human spirit. His story is a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, one person's unwavering dedication can inspire generations to continue the fight for freedom, equality, and a brighter, more inclusive future. If Mandela's story inspires you, share this video and keep his dream of equality alive.
I never wanted to be regarded as an angel. I'm an ordinary human being with weaknesses, some of them fundamental, and I've made many mistakes in my life. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.